Okay, good morning. Let's get this show on the road. One thing that we forgot to do during the movement phase was handle this guy. I just reviewed the rule on retreating or routing units. If you recall, this was from the front rank and arquebus. They automatically have rallied and are no longer considered routed. However, they are facing away from the enemy at this point. So we're just going to put this marker down here, and I'm going to kind of indicate that he's going that way right now. Okay. We had just fired that artillery. I was deciding whether or not there was going to be a fratricide from that. Let's make a quick roll here, or ruling. Each is colored alternately white and black to represent the flight and bounces of a cannonball. The player firing must state whether he is firing short, white, or long, black. He stated black. All figures touched by the name, color, and the dowel are eliminated. The color section of the dowel, green from muzzle roll, are any terrain feature which interposes, stop the flight of the cannonball. Obstacles to the height of a man will stop the flight of the cannonball if they are substantial. A body of water will stop the flight if passed over by a section. Named for hits. Yeah. In this case, there was enough arc that it went over your boy there, and he is absolutely okay. It is just the two enemy armored foot that are wiped out, and the armored foot, as we know, don't test until substantially more casualties are taken. So this is not going to be a big deal for these guys. Actually, I'm going to take from the front. So I've got a marker to know who this guy is. All right, done. Keep things moving, keep things moving. That was the artillery phase. Now we wanted to handle melees. This melee looks to be the easiest to do. There's nobody that has any fatigue. It's fairly straightforward. We do need to make a check because this was a charging unit of horse. Charging units of horse not only get an impetus bonus, but they also cause a morale check. Cavalry charge, here it is. Why would you put it first? Who knows? Gary Gygax only, perhaps. Page 18, this unit is skirmishers, light foot. They are the defending unit. The attacking unit is heavy horse. I guess it only matters that it's heavy because by default these all are referring to cavalry. So a 10 or better. Those guys are not, I don't think, in range of their army commander anymore because he moved to take on a challenge over there. Definitely not. These guys, hero does not matter in this case, so 10 or better to stay. Looking at this again. 10 or better. I'm going to keep this roll. 7. Sorry. Retreat 1.5 moves, backs to enemy and must rally. Units to fail, retreat 1.5 moves and must rally. 1.5 moves for these guys is 18. So I'm supposed to bump them back kind of in the same direction. I'm going to say at this point, they're stopped and must rally. So these guys, let's keep their fatigue marker. Let's put on a marker that they are disordered and must rally. Now, if you recall, we had backed these guys up 4.5, and then there was something like 1.5 more. So I think they are only 6 into their entire charge now, if I'm remembering this right. So their charge is going to continue. They were trying to get to the heavy foot, so they will contact these guys nonetheless. Might as well measure because we need to know how much further these guys go. So we'll assume they're at 6 right now. This takes them up to 10. We're going to call it 10.5. Okay. So that was just the morale check. So we are back in the melee phase. What did I say, 10.5? That might be important for later. Let's just put something out here to kind of jog our memory. All right, it's 10.5. All right, so melee. Heavy horse versus light foot. Are they still outside of the range of their hero? Yeah, I mean, yeah, because the hero's combat was actually taking place down here. They're still out of range. All right, so they're contacted again. They must rally. If a unit is contacted again, I just looked at the rule. To quickly rally, they need to make a 1 or a 2 on a dice roll. Otherwise, they're considered with backs towards enemy and do not return any blows. 4, they have backs towards enemy and will not make any return blows here. Heavy horse with impetus. So these dice rolls, they get an additional die. So heavy horse versus light foot, 4 dice per man, 5 or 6 kills. That's now going to be 5 dice per man. 5 dice per man. They've got 4 in the front rank, so they're going to have 20 dice, and they get a +1 to each of these dice for the hero. So a 4 through 6 kills. So 20 dice. I don't think we even need to roll this. We can see what's going to probably happen here. I'm going to say all of these men are in contact. 5, 10, 15, 19, 20. Like I said, 5 or 6 kills, but they get a +1 for their heroes, so it's actually 4 through 6 for the kill. Okay, so kill, 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 kill. On the bright side, they did stop the impetus of this charging unit, so it is spent on the skirmishers instead of the heavy foot that they intended to spend it on. All right, so now we can remove these guys. No need for this disorder marker in place. So they're off the table. Dice off the table. Keep things clean, keep things moving. Right. Next up, we're going to stop the recording briefly. Resuming recording. Okay, do these guys get to continue? They had moved 10.5. They were victorious in combat, but not due to the post-melee morale check. So, cavalry. I think we have to go back to the charge rule. Charge permitted. Victorious charging units must continue to move out the balance of their charge move in the direction first indicated, provided they attain victory before melee or during the first round. That was during the first round. They've moved 10.5. They had been charging, so they've got a grand total of 18, I believe. It looks like they will manage to make their contact with these heavy foot, and that will prevent these guys from being drawn into melee, perhaps, because this would be considered round 2. So let's see what happens on round 1, but we're going to move these guys into contact, and that's going to make them lose another 3, plus they do a little bit of a wheel here, so 4, that's like 10.5, 11.5, we're going to call it 12.5, 13, 14, 15, and then we're in contact here. 15 and we're in contact. Do we split them around? Okay, let's do that thing. So 1 to 2, they make an L shape. 3 to 4, they're on the front. 5 to 6, they're on the flank. 1, so they're actually going to do the L shape thing. So we consider Part of these are going to be on the front, part of these are going to be on the flank. All right. Moving on to the next melee. So this will take place during round 2 melee, so we still need to do some of these round 1 melees. Let's try and handle this one. I know it seems more complicated. Actually, no, let's try and handle this one. This one looks to be the next least complicated thing to handle on the board. So these heavy footmen could not charge again. They're now in contact with these guys. They have no hero left because he died or is in the process of dying over here. Their army commander is engaged in combat. There are no rules about whether he influences or not, but I think it's clear that he's still exerting command influence. He hasn't lost it yet because he accepted the challenge. So these guys will get a bonus. All right. And they stood and kind of received that because they fired. Are there any other things to consider here? They're not fatigued either. No. I think this is going to be a straight up fight here. So we're going to do, oh wait a minute, that's right, that is a fatigue marker, I'm sorry. We had resolved all that fatigue stuff, if you'll recall the very beginning of the turn 10 videos. All right, so he is fatigued, so basically he's light. It's light versus light, and these guys are going to get a +1 on their roll, on their rolls. So units in contact, 3, 6, 3, 6, yeah, 6 in contact. So light versus light, 1 die per man, 6 kills, 1 die per man. So we're going to do the red attacks first. So actually 2 kills here. Red imposes 2 kills on the enemy. Now the attacks coming back from the arquebuses, who fired during pass-through phase and left, I guess, using their arquebuses as bludgeons or using hand weapons. No kills. Even if I added +1 to these, none of these would be a kill. So now we do the post-melee morale calculation. These guys have lost 2. So step 1, who imposed more casualties? It's going to be red that imposed 2 points of casualties. It's early in the morning. I should probably look at this and do this legit the right way. Step 1, side with fewer casualties, positive difference. Side with the greater number of surviving troops determines the positive difference. So these guys had 6 troops involved, and those guys had 6 troops involved, but they've lost 2, so it's 4. So it's 6 minus 4, it's 2. So the absolute difference is not only did they have fewer casualties, red also has 2 more surviving troops. Now we multiply the surviving troops. So in this case, it's going to be a 4 for the morale rank for light foot. So 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 6 is going to be 24. 16 minus 24 is going to be 8. So it's going to be 8 points to our good boys over here on the red side. Grand total here is 6 and 6 is 12. We double that, that's going to be 24. That's very important in this case. So 24 takes us out of melee, continues, and into the arquebuses moving back 2 moves in good order. They didn't, oh wait a minute, I was supposed to multiply something by a dice roll. Numbers multiplied by a dice roll. That was side, that was 2. Red might actually have more. 2 times 6, actually that should have been a 12. So let's do a recalc here. So 2 times 6, actually that's a 12. So it would have been 10 and 10 and 12. So this would have been 22, now doubled is 44. So the actual difference should be back 1 move in good order. So 2 deaths on their side, and then back 1 move in good order. And I said these guys could not be pulled into the melee, didn't I? Ah, crud. They wanted to be pulled into the melee. The melee only lasted 1 round. When can you pull troops into the melee? I think it doesn't matter whether it's round 1 or round 2. After the first round of excess flanks or rear may be brought in. That doesn't apply. Units within 3 inches may be drawn into it if they desire. They definitely desired, because that's the reason they moved up the crossbows, was to attack them in the back and try and get these guys on the flank too. So, all right, this stuff still happened. The hero figure was still over here combating. We still have to resolve. I'm going to move this unit, but they are definitely shifting a little bit. They're going to shift down. Oh, actually I need to roll this, right? No, I don't, because they're definitely going to hit on the flank. They're being drawn in on the flank here. Only 1 rank in contact. Heroes are still battling. Okay, so we still need to resolve this. So this is going to be their unfatigued heavy foot with pikes. That's interesting, with pikes. Oh, wait a minute. All troops formed in close quarters with polearms can only suffer frontal melee casualties from troops armed with light weapons, while knight armed with lance could... Okay, so actually these guys won't suffer any casualties. Okay, that makes it easier. It's going to be 2 heavy foot versus what is now effectively light foot, and they get a +1 on their die for the hero. So heavy foot versus light foot, 1 die per man, 5 or 6 kills, which is going to be 4 through 6 kills. 1 die per man, 4 through 6 kills, 1 casualty caused by this heavy foot unit, also during the first round of melee. Post-melee morale check. In this case, blue had 1 more casualty. Does that change this? Should I just change the casualty calculation? Yes. Yes, we will just change the casualty calculation. I'm going to leave these guys here, but let's redo this calculation. And I'll bring on the visual aids. These guys were only up by 1 for step 1. Then, because they've lost 1 and these guys lost 2 blocks, so the difference was only 1 for step 1. Then they rolled a 6 to multiply, so actually it's 6 points. For step 2, instead of getting 2 points for being absolutely more, they're going to get 1 point for being absolutely more. And then for the people in contact, the difference was still going to be 8 points from this combat. So red is still winning by 8 points. But then I also have to back down the 1 heavy foot. That's going to be 1 light foot. So they had 6, they have 5. So they had 20. We're going to take this off. So they had 20 on their side. What about this side? They had 4 times 4 is 16. And they had 2 of these. They had 2 times 5 is 10. 16 and 10 is 26. 26 minus 16 is 10. Actually, it's going to be, for step 3, it's going to be 10 to the blue side. So now, looking at this, they've got 7 points. They've got 10 points. The difference is actually 3 positive for blue. 3 positive for blue being 3 positive for blue being doubled means it's 6, which means these guys didn't move back. In fact, we're going to go to round 2 of melee. I'm still removing these casualties off the board. That was round 1 for the melee down here. During round 2, these heavy horse will come and contact, but these guys are now permitted to wrap around, and these arquebuses are still in front. So what to do? First, let's handle the wraparound effect. Let's get these markers out of here that belong with these guys. Let's put these guys in contact where they ought to be. His hero wanted to be as close as possible to the enemy army commander. So I think we need to decide which side he falls on. 1 to 3, 4 to 6. He's going to be on this side. So technically he's with this block when this thing wraps up, however it wraps up. Right. And we had said prior to this that we wanted to do wrapping by pulling from basically the back and then filling in. But I don't think in practice that looks very applicable here. I think what we have to do is move them, and here I have to be careful too. They can only move. Train of thought continuing. I have to be careful because these are heavy foot and they are only allowed to move up to 6 inches to get into this thing. And they were already at the extreme distance from the combat. So to get these guys in, I think the 3rd and 4th ranks are out of this, and I can only fill from the front 2 ranks. And really, I can only fill from the front 2 ranks. I can only fill from basically this block here is what it looks like to me. So I'm going to measure that again. No, I can probably take this set too. Okay. It gets so complicated, guys, to do it this way, but I think we are going to like the results better than some abstract BS. So I've filled in what's allowable to fill in at this point, and we will resolve round 2 of this mess in just a moment. Let's do something that requires a little less brain power in theory. Okay, so I think we already decided, yeah, we did, that these guys are hitting on the flank. I'm going to put these 2 in contact over here. Their army commander is in range to influence this. Let's handle this one thing at a time. These guys were not charging. These guys were charging. So these guys will get an impetus bonus. Before the impetus bonus, they do, unfortunately, need to make one more check or they disappear off the board. This might actually save me some trouble here. So let's flip forward to page 19, actually 18. They're being attacked by a heavy horse. They're light. They need a 10, but they've got their army commander. They're not fatigued, so they need a 9 or better to stay. To withstand a charge, defending unit must check morale. Fail to score the required total, must retreat 1.5 moves, backstand. 10, thank God. Okay, because otherwise it would have been a real jumbled mess. Okay, front rank. These guys were firing this direction, so their front is this way. So light versus light. Let's see if red imposes any casualties on that guy. It's 1 dice per man, 5 or 6. Nope, light versus light. Let's look at the table. It's 1 die per man. 6 kills, but in this case, army commander, so they need a 5 or better. Red does not score a kill there. Red can't attack this guy because he's in the rear. They can't attack this guy because they've already used that attack. This guy can attack the man to his flank. 5. That is a kill, so he eliminates him. Now coming back the other way, this hero does not have a command radius to affect this, so we're going to do front versus front. Straight up 6 needed. Straight up 6 acquired. Front versus front, that's a win. So let's get him off. This guy is no longer in contact over here, so that portion of the combat is wrapped up for round 1. Now in round 2, we can fill that in. Now let's come over here to the heavy horse. The two red side get their attack versus heavy horse. Light foot versus heavy horse. 1 die per 4 men, 6 kills. Well, they don't have 4 men. What to do? What to do? Should I make it... Should the army commander bump that up so they get a roll? Let's take the roll, divide it in half, and add 1. Chance of this scoring a kill is nearly 0. I think it is effectively 0. Let's roll it on the table. 5. Unfortunately, 5 plus 1, 6. Half of that is going to be 3. Plus 1 is 4. That's still not effective. So no attacks effective on the heavy horse, and they got their shot anyway, so I think that's fair. So now, heavy horse with impetus versus light foot. We've seen this game before. Heavy horse versus light foot, 4 dice per man, but it's bumped up to 5 dice per man for impetus. 5 dice per man. 2 are in contact. So I have 10, and then a 5 or 6 kills, but in this case they get a +1, so it's 4 or better is going to kill. So we've achieved more than enough kills. So these 2 men on the end are wiped out. Okay. We're going to just take from here to make it easy, and then we'll deal with reallocating this. Let me just bump him back so we know they're not in contact potentially. Okay. All right, post-melee morale calculation for round 1 over here. Blue has 1 casualty, red has 3. The difference is 2. That is chalked up to the blue side and then multiplied by a dice roll. 3. So 2 times 3 turns this into a 6. 6 for the blue side. The side with the greater number of surviving troops, in this case, 2 troops, 3 troops are still in contact. 3 to the blue side. Now multiply those troops by their morale factor as well, which kind of bumps it up. How scary are the troops that remain? So 4 plus 10 is 14. So we're going to say 6 and 6 and 2. So blue won all 3 of those. So that's 18, that's 20, that's 23 times 2 because it's less than 20 figures. So what did I say? I said 23 times 2 is going to be 46. 46 difference. Back 1 move in good order. Back 1 move in good order for the end of round 1. And they're a retreating unit that comes into contact with a friendly unit. Are they immediately contacted again? Yes, they are, but not like you think. Because the blue one's charged last turn, they don't come back into contact. They don't move forward. What does happen here is that the heavy horse gets to carry out their move and get back into contact for round 2 of melee. So it's going to be a very close repeat of what happened the last time. I should have been measuring how far they've moved because it will make a difference later. I will have to review the tape on that one. For Pete's sake. These movement trays did help in the initial stages because these blocks do catch the felt, to answer a question in the comments. But at this point, they're more of a hindrance. All right, so in round 2, can these guys immediately rally is one question. 1 or 2 required? No. So they're considered, in this case, not backs towards enemy because their retreat took place kind of in the only direction they were squeezed, so you had to go backwards. Yeah, this guy should be over here. All right. Next question about this is what happens when they contact the other unit of armored foot that is now in front of them. I think in this case, his desire would be to pull the armored foot into this combat. But I think it's a desire that could be met by the other rules. The only thing that I have a question about is what happens because of the fact that he was retreating before this happened. Retreat. Troops forced back must remain unmoved on the following turn while they rally. Well, they didn't even get to that point. Contact with another unit. If a retreating unit contacts a formed body of friendly troops, the retreat is immediately stopped. We did that. But both groups must spend the next turn rallying and are subject to the rule below regarding continued retreat. So, next turn, they have to rally. Otherwise, they can potentially be off the board. So I think we're still good here because they're being pulled into the combat. Tell me if you disagree in the comments. Okay, and this is going to be the last portion of this. So we're now in round 2 for both of these massive clusters of what's going on. Why are these units over here? Oh yeah, casualties. Let's get the casualties off the board. So these are arquebus casualties. And that is prisoners. Before a unit falls back, which they did fall back, didn't they? So we need to go to the prisoner rule. Combat, morale, factor, miscellaneous melee. Prisoners. Before the losing side falls back from a melee, both players roll a die to determine if any prisoners are taken from the losing side. Well, in this case, it was a mixture of foot and horse, right? But it also says that regardless of the further, if the loser is retreating or rounding back, his unit automatically loses either 1 prisoner for retreat or 2 prisoners for rout. So he automatically loses 1 to begin with. So let's just put it over here with the skirmishers, just temporarily. And let's make this dice roll. So did the skirmishers, let's roll both sides. So this is the blue side die. The winning side die is only a 2. The loser die, God, what's up today? The loser die is a 1. Okay. So further prisoners taken. Further prisoners taken would be, the winner was mixed. There is a line for mixed. But of course there's not a line for mixed versus, oh my word, you gotta love these guys. We're just gonna give them further prisoners of the number rolled from the winner's die, I think. If it's foot versus foot, it would be the number rolled. If it was horse versus foot, it would be both dies added together. And if it's mixed, it would be the number rolled. So I think we're just going to give them 2 more prisoners. Give them 2 more prisoners. Do the prisoners get escorted off the field by a skirmisher or a heavy horseman? I think proportionally, it doesn't matter. We're going to give those prisoners up on an even to the skirmishers and an odd to the heavy horse. It's an odd. Heavy horse have to give up a guard for these prisoners. And at this point, I have to stop this and move on with the rest of my day. I'm going to fill this in so this is easier to handle. And I'm stopping the video now.